Good morning, everybody, and welcome to lucky number 13, episode 13. I'm Kyle Flaherty.
Mike Hamilton.
And I was wrong. Last week was not our 10th episode. It was our 12th episode. And so that got us thinking. Now
Sometimes numbers get the best of us.
Right, and we're still missing episode 6. That is in the files or the vault somewhere that people will find at some point. It will be on the DVD or Blu-ray, the director's cut, at some point. But
last episode.
So as we got to the numbers game and we figured out that this was 13, we started talking about numerology in general, numbers in general, that kind of stuff. And so what we thought we'd do this week, we actually went through a lot of our industry news and different items and found 3 or 4 numbers that were compelling to us. So I wanted to start with the first one, and I'll click over to that. This is an FBI report, actually, from 2011. I don't think they've updated it since. I don't know if they just come out with it every 3 years or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen an updated one.
But there's a few numbers in here that really stand out, and the one that is probably the most telling is 3 to 10%.
Yeah.
And that is what they think is in healthcare fraud in the United States today. 3 to 10% of the total spend.
That's a lot.
So do the math for me. If the total spend is supposed to be $3 trillion a year, what are we looking at? Where's the ballpark there?
Somewhere
You're the
between
engineer.
85 and 300 million.
Right. So
300 billion.
At best.
Billion.
At best, 85 billion. So that's our number for the first story, 85 billion. So let's just be conservative. $85 billion in healthcare fraud. That is staggering to me. And the report is interesting overall, and they go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah, there's some interesting things.
It's a long report.
Yeah, they were talking about the healthcare fraud expected to continue to rise as people live longer.
Mm-hmm.
That one actually didn't make sense to me. Understanding that the overall spending would go up as people live longer, but I didn't understand the correlation between people living longer and being more fraud. Now, other than maybe they're going into long-term care facilities, and maybe those are type industries where there is more that's more ripe for fraud.
Well, but flip that on its head. If fraudsters are living longer, are they doing fraud longer?
But once you're 80, don't you just give up the game?
No
and,
way. I don't
pack
think
it
so.
up?
I think you're.
Well, if you're 85 and still doing this, weren't you so successful for the 85 years that you have enough money to just kick back and relax?
I think it's more to your point of that there'll be an older generation of Americans with more healthcare needs, and that just basically creates, to use a cyber analogy, a larger threat landscape.
Yeah, I guess as people live longer, there's more spend. If it's 3 to 10%, okay, that's naturally going to go up.
Right.
But I almost read it as the percentage would go up as people live longer, not as the total. So
that makes no sense. The percentage shouldn't go up.
Right.
The percentage, if anything, and if we get our act together and we get together and we do different things, whether it's analytics and other types of things, that should go down.
Right.
We should see it go down, but I don't know. When you're dealing with trillions of dollars, there's always going to be a huge element of risk and of fraud. And so there'll always be something, but if we can get it closer and closer down to zero, the better off we'll all be.
Yeah, the interesting thing, the other thing, of the $3 trillion, that's something like 15% of total gross domestic product.
GDP, yeah, that's insane.
That's insane.
And now we know that percentage is going up.
Right.
Especially with the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah,
and that will only go up.
And they say
more.
nearly 20% by 2016.
Right.
And that's basically less than 18 months.
Right.
And it will be 20% of GDP.
Yeah, so if we're not shrinking the percentage of fraud, we're only increasing the waste and abuse and overpayments that are happening out there. So 85 billion, that's our first number. So we started big. Our next is 500 or 500 plus. I thought this was an interesting website, and I'll click over to it right now. It's actually on the Health and Human Services website, and you can go to it. And as I'm looking at it right now, you can actually find any data breaches affecting 500 or more individuals. And so you can sit there and you can do breach types. I could do hacking, improper disposal, whatever it is. I can do the location. I can do the covered entity type, so health plan, healthcare clearinghouse, or healthcare provider. put in the dates, etc., and then just run a report.
Does Fanny Pack show up on the
Fanny Pack
breach
is
type?
not on there. Not on there.
Ah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Apparently you
and
can't
if
fit.
you weren't there
apparently
for
you can't fit
episode-
500 records into a fanny pack.
You can fit a prescription pad, though, as
Right.
we discovered last week on episode 10-12.
Now in Connecticut, in a backpack in a coffee shop, you probably can can fit 500 records on a
So
laptop.
I thought this was fascinating because then you can just see and do a quick search of your particular provider or whatnot and see what's going on there. So I haven't seen a lot of sites like this, but it was actually kind of informative.
Yeah, and you may remember 3 or 4 episodes ago, we actually talked about more specifically some of these breaches and some of the percentages and the size of the doctors. I mean, it's been, gosh, now 2 months ago since we probably did that episode, but yeah, it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can just quickly look at all those things and just apply the filters. Well, I did one that shows up with nothing, but I guess I could do all states.
Always try
right?
this at home first, kids.
There we go, all states, apply filter. All right, still nothing. So nothing in July of all those breach types. July's a good month.
July's a good month.
Good for us.
Everyone's on vacation.
Good
so
for us.
You know,
I think it's pretty common knowledge that fraudsters don't take vacations. Although
these aren't fraudsters; these are hackers and.
True. Okay.
And,
good point. But they're using it to, in a lot of cases, conduct fraud.
Fair enough.
And sell those out. There was a study. I don't know if we talked about it on our on the previous one where we wrapped up kind of the World Cup stuff, but that showed. I was talking to Kelly at Dark Reading. And she was talking. She had just published an article, and it's on our Twitter feed, 21CT Inc. But they had done an article in Dark Reading showing how data breaches and cyber attacks went down during certain World Cup matches. And they found that it was Brazil, and then some of the Asian teams that were in there.
Shocker.
So, right, exactly. So South America and Asia, where we're seeing a lot of these attacks happen, for the 2.5 hours that the match was going on, you actually saw it drop down.
Well, it's really hard.
Precipitously.
It's really hard to attack someone when you're watching soccer.
Right.
Excuse me, football.
Football. All right, so...
And I'm sure they were all crunching numbers while they're watching the game.
Exactly.
You couldn't do a third thing and attack people.
So if you want to find out if you're one of those 500 plus, head over to that website that we just promoted right there. And then, so kind of depressing. We've gone from $85 billion in fraud to am I one of 500 that have been hacked, to 17. So this article was posted when we were doing kind of the pre-show, but 17, and we just wanted to end on a little bit of a high note here, or a fun note, if you will. 17 crazy facts that sound fake but are actually true. All right, so Mike, tell me, which of these was your favorite fun fact?
I don't know if I could choose one, but given that we have talking a lot about fraud lately, I have to go with the con man selling the Eiffel Tower,
right.
Almost twice.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, how stupid do you have to be to get conned into thinking you're buying the scrap metal from one of the most iconic things on the planet?
Yep. I know, that was pretty crazy. The other thing to me was there's a nuclear bomb lost somewhere off the coast of Georgia. That's a little scary overall. And then the other one was that you have more synapses in your brain. Synapses. Synapse or synapse?
I always heard synapse, but that doesn't make it right.
All right. I appreciate the way you said that. Instead of calling me stupid, you basically said, you could be right, but you're probably wrong.
That's not even.
And I
that's
like
not
that.
at all what
No,
I said.
it was nice. It was a nice way of doing that.
No, I said I'm with you.
I think it's synapses.
I'm with you on that.
Okay. But you have more synapses in your brain neural network than there are stars.
Pretty crazy.
That's ridiculously crazy.
Yeah.
I need more of a reaction for that. Wow.
My synapses are
moving.
They are not firing on all cylinders on this Friday.
Gee,
now,
why?
Now, there's one other stat that I
got anything going on next week?
There's one other physiological stat I had heard a long time ago. I don't know if it's actually true. That you have enough blood vessels and veins in your body that you could circle the Earth multiple times. I'd heard that somewhere.
Of just your veins?
Of like your veins and capillaries and all of that. I just don't understand how that could possibly be possible.
Well, isn't like your large intestine like 7 feet long or some ridiculous thing like that?
I don't know.
Wow. We're really diving into some interesting water territory here, if you will.
Yeah. Awkward, almost ending.
No, not at all. Yeah, I think that was interesting. I also, I think it's funny when you mention numbers to people, they immediately have a number that comes to mind.
Yep.
What's your lucky number?
You know what? I don't really have a lucky number.
Okay.
My wife's lucky number is 7. And what I've found
Very
is
traditional lucky number.
it is, because
Yeah.
it's quite traditional. And the crazy thing is, so my daughter has now played on 3 different soccer teams.
Yes.
And having been randomly assigned a jersey 3 times, all 3 times, she has also had number 7.
Whoa.
So I think maybe my number needs to be 7, because
My synapses are like,
apparently in my household, 7 is the lucky number.
huh, that's so interesting. Do you think that you'll have 7 children?
No.
Okay, it's on, I'm just saying, it's on video now.
Yes, it's on
Okay,
video.
good.
Tara,
No.
not 7 kids.
Good.
To be clear.
I think she's nodding vehemently as well.
I think.
From her. Yeah, do you have an unlucky, like, is there a number that kind of freaks you out? I know Kim has a freak out around 42, which is...
No Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No, I get why. I
I mean, that kind of freaks me out.
All right.
End of life, 42.
All right. Interesting.
You know, the number that freaks me out, well, it's not really a number, it's more of a symbol. Infinity really freaks me out.
Just the idea
The idea of...
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, because then I remember as a kid, you play I picked number 12.
Right.
Oh, I pick 15. Oh, I pick infinity.
Right.
Oh, I pick infinity squared. It's the same number.
Whoa,
That's
whoa,
so crazy.
Infinity plus infinity.
Right, or infinity to the infinity.
Oh, whoa. Well, then you think about then the universe is expanding and growing every day. Like it is infinite and it
Right.
will continue to grow that way.
Right.
Yeah, that bothers me
Yeah.
a little bit. Wow.
That's actually too mind-blowing.
So then okay. So yeah, I think for me I have like if I ever do the lottery or something like that, which I really don't, but or if I have to pick a number, it's 52. Always. That's my number. This is my number in high school when I played football. Is my number in
And now it's your current age, so it's perfect.
Oh wow.
Had to go.
Wow.
Had to go there.
Wow. That was
Low blow.
It would have been low blow if I'd have said
Thank
like.
God we're drowning in this sea of blue behind us.
You're so clearly not 52.
Really? Actually, it looks pretty good.
I think it's not even a low blow. I think it's
Yes. No, I think everyone knows that I'm not 52 yet. I'm only 50. All right, so let's talk about our person of the week. And our person of the week goes by a Twitter handle of KD Nuggets. And I had to, I mean,
That might be the coolest.
how awesome is that handle? And I don't know the reason, and I really want to know. We've actually been following, Gregory is his actual name, not Nuggets.
Katie
No, Katie Nuggs is not his actual name. But he's talking all about, not just data analytics and all that stuff, but he talks about patterns in numbers, patterns in kind of behaviors, and just kind of some fun stuff overall. And I just think he has a great kind of, he has just a great Twitter feed if you're interested in stuff like that. He also shares kind of some of the wacky stuff that's going on in numbers, but he's a chief scientist at 2 startups, and he's from Brookline, Massachusetts, which also makes
I wonder
me
how many
happy
times
as
he
a-
mentions Fibonacci in his Twitter feed.
it was so
'Cause
funny.
I really just wanted to say Fibonacci.
I watched a TED Talk last night with my wife, and they
Oh,
started
now
talking.
you're showing off. Look
they
at me.
started-
I'm all smart watching TED Talks.
No, it's because there's nothing on TV right now. Like
That's
we
true.
have nothing to do.
It is the dead of summer.
Right.
There's no sports.
Yeah. And so we were just going through that, but they were now. If you thought that was me trying to be smart, now here we go. The TED Talk was on Bayesian theory, and he starts talking about Bayesian theory. I'm like, oh.
We had a blog post on it.
I'm like, I know what that is, and so I felt smart.
When you said you know what it is, you mean I've heard of it.
No, I've written about it from other people who know about it.
Right.
Right. And that's what's great about being in marketing. So anyhow, all right, episode 13 is in the books, if you will. Next week will be episode 14. Numbers.
Another number.
Numbers. And it will go on in infinity. The show will never end. Most likely.
One can only
like this
hope.
personal show will never end. Let's just
our
keep
fans
talking.
can only hope that it will never end.
Man, it was great. I actually got a compliment yesterday.
Really?
Someone told me that they've been watching it and that we make cybersecurity and fraud analytics seem like fun. And I said, it is fun.
It's totally fun.
And they laughed.
And then they said, also because there's nothing else on TV because
Right.
it's the summer.
Exactly. And I did not tell them about TED Talks. All right, so that's it from us in Austin, Texas. We will be back with you next week. And then actually, I'm just a little foreshadowing, a live, Take a Look Live even more live than regular live, but actually not here in Austin. We will be in San Antonio, and we will be filming this live from our booth at the National Association of Medicaid Program Integrity, NAMPI. So we will both be there starting next weekend. So if you're going there, we look forward to seeing you, but you'll see us on the interwebs anyhow. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.